them up. Good luck to both of you.
Arnold Barboza Jr. trying to pass this test to set up a big fight on the Loma Lopez undercard. Dre, we talk so often about the mental side of this game and everything that these fighters deal with. And obviously with the 73-day layoff for Arnold Barboza Jr. is the fact that he's a concerned father, that he fights with great motivation to raise awareness for Turner's syndrome. He has a 6-month-old daughter with that congenital condition, and his daughter had surgery this month. On August 11th, in the midst of his training for this fight, his attention was elsewhere, understandably so, with all his heart worried about his daughter.
Yeah, Joe, as if the pandemic and you know, the shutdown wasn't enough to worry about, as well as, you know, a fight coming up for Barboza. You know, he has real intimate, personal, you know, things that he has to deal with on the home front. But he is a fighter, and it has always amazed me, even myself, the things that fighters have to deal with on the outside, but how we're able to compartmentalize that, you take the motivation we need, discard the rest, and bring it all into the ring and still perform.
Timmy, right away you see the size advantage for Barboza. 5'9" to 5'7" Lewis. 73-inch reach for Barboza to 67 inches for Lewis.
And he's using his distance well. He's gauging with his jab, like I said. It's nice snapping jab. And then he looks for Lewis to step in. And anytime Lewis tries to get ready to set his feet to try to punch, well, Barboza meets him with a shot, either a right hand or a jab. Beautiful work at the moment for Barboza Jr.
Right hand from Barboza.
First time I...
Tess, you see that right there? That's a new wrinkle right there.
Switching stances
that right
after
there,
that body
I've
shot.
never seen Barboza, into the body shot and switch to southpaw.
Now back orthodox, utilizing that jab. Right hand follows, trying to split the guard.
I think Barboza is successful with his hands, and the type of punches that he throws, they land clean because you got to watch his feet. He seems to be very, very versed on his distance and his range, and even the small steps that he takes. You see a little spin around right there. That's something that can be lost on a lot of viewers, but he spins around and then he's able to get a right hand and a left hook to the body and still be out of range for a counter shot. A lot of skill from the young fighter, Barboza.
Break. Break. Step back. Step back.
Round number 2, Barboza Jr. and Lewis. In that first round, Barboza outlanded him 22-10 in connects.
In that round, that first round, you elaborated a little bit on the distance controlling of Barboza. And you know what? I think that's the reason why he's able to maximize his power. You know, he has long arms. He's big for the division. You know, when you get full extension on your punches and you're sitting down on your shots a little bit more, well, you're there to be able to land some hard, effective punches on your opposition. And that's why he's able to create more knockouts, I believe.
Right hand to the body.
Nice extension right there with the hooks.
That sequence started because of the jab of Barboza, and it wasn't a hard jab. It was 2 or 3 flicks, an overhand right around the guard. He stepped around, landed a left hook, came back, landed another right hand. That's the IQ that you see from this young fighter that really excited me when I first laid eyes on Barboza.
Another right hand came into the belt line of Tony Lewis moments ago. Tony Lewis, who has won 10 fights in a row, his last loss was back in April of 2015. Lewis himself coming off the long layoff, 315 days since he fought last October 19th, an 8-round win against Ricardo Lara.
See, Lewis right now, he's expecting this fight to be tough in the beginning. He told us in the fighter meeting, he was just like, I'm looking forward to the later rounds when I wear him down. I know he's going to punch, but I want to try to slow him down, break him down to the body, and fight him in the inside, rough and tough inside.
Good shot from Barboza.
Let's go, Bucks.
Lewis trying to drive his way through the front door with that right hand to the body and close the gap a bit. Three-punch combination from Barboza Jr.
Barboza hasn't thrown anything hard tonight. Everything has just been sharp and to the point. And Lewis may not be showing the effects of those punches, but I guarantee you he feels it.
Oh, good combination to close this second round here from Barboza Jr. The puncher. And you heard the other father, Arnold Sr., in the corner of Arnold Barboza Jr., saying we got plenty of time to work with, utilize the jab. In that second round, Arnold Barboza Jr. landed 26 of 68 total punches. 17 of them were power connects.
Well, I respectfully disagree with Mr. Lewis. I think Tony needs to fight more like a puncher. I think he needs to press the issue, open himself up a little bit. He will get hit, but try to open up the younger Barboza and catch him in between his shots, because if he stays on the outside, he's going to keep getting hit with shots like that. And ultimately, Barboza is going to set Lewis up for a knockout shot. He's just kind of, prepping him and getting him ready. But as the fight progresses, the bigger shots from Barboza, you're going to start seeing.
Great point. I just believe that his trainer was telling him, stop looking for one shot. A lot of times punchers, they'll look to sit down in front to land one hard shot. What he wants him to be is to be a little bit lighter on his feet and let his combinations go.
Break, let him out. Okay, no, listen, stay off his neck. Let's go.
Trying to make him pay the price there.
The problem that I'm having with Lewis is, the problem I'm having, Tess and fellas, with Lewis is he's standing directly in front of Barboza. See, when you gotta feint, you gotta move off to the side, get off the line of fire, and then attack your opponent. If you continue to just walk forward like he's doing, he's gonna eat leather all night.
And in eating that leather, including an uppercut moments ago, you can see some blood coming from the mouth of Tony Lewis.
Tim, he's going to keep eating that leather tonight because Barboza just has too many skills and just his IQ is just too high. The footwork of Barboza is educated. The footwork of Tony Lewis is not, and that's why he's getting hit with these kind of shots. He doesn't know where Barboza is going to be at any point in time. Barboza gives him an angle. Next thing he knows, Lewis is getting hit with big right hands and left hook. They don't seem hard, but you're starting to see the blood form, in the mouth of Lewis right now. And Barboza's going to slowly start picking this thing up.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about controlling the distance. And I'm talking about also, Dre, to add on that, the punch placement, the punch selection. You got a guy sitting in front of you with his hands up. Why don't you come around the guard? And that's what you're seeing, a mix-up straight down the middle and around the guard.
Former WBC champion here at 140 pounds. Only 4 men ever in the 4-belt era. One of them was at 140 pounds to be undisputed. That, of course, Terrence Bud Crawford, a name that is circled by Jose Ramirez. Ramirez is laying out the path, saying if he can get through Postal tonight, make the Josh Taylor fight. Let's have it. All 4 belts on the line, and then he wants to get himself to 147 pounds and get after Bud Crawford. Can you imagine the course of the next year between Ramirez and Josh Taylor? Should be fun.
Break. Let him out. Step
Let's
back.
check in with Bernardo, who was listening in to the corner of Tony Lewis.
You know, his father, George Lewis, told me he's just too predictable right now. We didn't expect Barboza to be that big in the ring. He's got the layoff. He's just got to find himself. But more importantly, he's got to pick it up. He's going well downstairs, but he's got to remember he's got two hands.
Dre, does that surprise you that they were surprised of Barboza's size and skill and what they were up against?
Absolutely. It's not hard to get the tail of the tape on your opponent. It's not hard to turn on the tape and see what this guy, what his height is and what his reach looks like. And again, to back it up with a bio or something like that, he can go online and check. That's easy to check out. But what I'm more surprised about is that Tony Lewis isn't keeping his word and doing what he told us he would do in the fighting meeting. He's not selling out. What does that mean? He's not throwing both hands. He's trying to go tit for tat and skill for skill with a guy like Arnold Barboza, and that's not going to get it done tonight.
Well, the thing is that in Lewis' defense is, yes, he had a lot of time off. You know, layoffs, you know, can develop ring rust. So it takes normally around 4 rounds to get yourself back acclimated, get the feeling back to being back into the ring again. You know, and I can see Lewis actually starting to land a little bit more often. And nice right hand right there on Barboza.
Timmy, I can't give Lewis that out because both fighters have been out of the ring for roughly around the same time. 9 months for Barboza and 10 months for Lewis. So it's an even playing field tonight.
Lewis has had just a moment of brief success when he's gotten to the inside here in round number 4, but Barboza is picking him off every time he crosses that threshold. Sharp, accurate punches from Barboza. Barboza right now is landing just under 40% of his total punches. He has an 86-43 connect advantage. And Tim, among time and again we listen in to trainers talking to their fighters and we'll shake our heads. Sometimes the instruction is very pointed, very deliberate. Sometimes it's off base. Sometimes you wonder if they're watching the same fight that we're calling. But I loved what I just heard from Arnold Barboza's father, Arnold Sr. there, Dre, when he simply said, have some fun out there. Go and have some fun out there. The uppercuts there.
I love it, you know, and for a fighter, especially a good boxer, you know, Verge used to call that singing to me when he used to encourage me and pump me up and say things that he knew would kind of get my blood pumping in the midst of a sparring session or even in between rounds in a real fight. That's what his father's doing. That's his son, and he knows how to get him going, and he knows how to get him to that second gear where hopefully he can get the stoppage tonight against Tony Lewis. And different things make different fighters tick. Some fighters need an in-your-face, telling you like it is, cutting no corners kind of coach. And other fighters just need encouragement. They just need you to cast vision, tell them what you're seeing, and tell them, hey, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And that's what Mr. Barboza is doing.
Well, if Lewis keeps taking those body shots, this could end soon. He's taking a vicious amount of body punches from Barboza. And what I love about Barboza is he's staying consistent with his work. You know, he's reacting. Everything that Lewis tries to do, he has something for it. He has a response for it. He has an answer for it, as you see right there. He's not letting them get away with anything.
Let him go. Go, watch your head inside.
See, every now and then you'll see Every now and then you'll see Barboza, he'll switch up his rhythm. He'll switch up the cadence a little bit. He'll flick a couple of punches out there to see if Lewis will commit. And then once he commits, he's waiting, he's sitting on the back for the counter.
A right hand came in. End of 5.
You know, when he went from haiku to leave China after the cancellation, it took him 24 hours. They booked 8 different flight variations because they just needed to get out of there quick. He went Beijing, Frankfurt, finally Kiev. Then when he came back to Los Angeles, they canceled the May fight, and then the Ukrainian borders were closed to international flights. So he flew LAX to Amsterdam to Minsk because he had to walk across the border from Belarus to Ukraine, drive 2 hours home to Kiev. So this guy really wants to fight.
Think about that. Think about everything he had to do. Get back home, get to LA, get to this point. The globetrotter who wants to be a world champion again. Round 6 here. Arnold Barboza Jr. A 123-54 connect advantage. You're seeing all the tools, all the skills that have many feeling that it'll be Barboza Jr. in the near future, perhaps contending for a world championship. Just to remind you what our Mark Kriegel reported earlier tonight, there's a nice stance switch and a southpaw left uppercut from Barboza Jr. Mark Kriegel told us earlier tonight that an impressive win here and moving the mark to 24-0 will get him a fight against Alex Saucedo on the Lomachenko-Lopez lightweight championship card, October 17th.
Okay, 1 point, low blow. 1 point, low blow. 1 point, that's all right.
Michael Ortega wasting no time and just deducting a point right away here in round 6 for a low blow.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I mean, the punch was low, but I think that was the first warning. He actually hit him on the thigh.
I mean, that's a Charlie horse punch right there.
It'll be sore tomorrow, no doubt in my mind.
You know, for me, fellas, I want to see Barboza go to this next gear. I mean, you got to have multiple gears if you're talking about competing with anybody at 140 pounds, or even the Alex Saucedos of the world. So he's totally dominating Tony Lewis right now. He can do whatever he wants to do on the offensive side and the defensive side. If you're in the corner, if you're the father of Barboza, you want to responsibly push him and let him know that a knockout is ready, so go for it.
Let him out. Break.
Trey, he almost had it about 30 seconds ago when he switched southpaw and he started digging down to the body of Lewis. You know, I could see, you know, Lewis' response. He kept bagging up and pushing his elbows down to his body to protect his body.
There he goes again from that southpaw
downstairs.
That southpaw body attack, Timmy. Allow Lewis to create any danger on the inside. You heard him say that's Lewis's only chance. If he does get to the inside, tie him up, walk him back.
Yeah, I think
there is
those
the jab from
instructions
Barboza Jr.
Those instructions are a bit conservative for me at this point. I mean, we're in the 7th round of a 10-round fight, and Tony Lewis has not come close to winning a round on my scorecard. You know, there's a time and a place to have concern, and there's a time and a place to send your charge out there to go get a knockout. And I think it's that time right now for Arnold Barboza.
I think what I liked about that whole, you know, the corner sequence in the instructions was you saw Barboza when he came to the corner, he seemed a little frustrated. And you saw the father ignore it. And you know what he was frustrated about? The fact that he lost the point and he don't even know why. You know, you being a fighter, things happen in the ring. Some things happen unexpectedly. You know, you got to let some things go. If you don't let it go, it will affect you during the fight. Great job and great instructions by his father. But you're right, Dre. I do agree with you. You know, there's a time and a place you need to step it up. I do agree with you 100%. He's winning every single round quite easily and handedly. He needs to try to figure a way And that's what the elite fighters do. Figure a way
Well, Tim, if
to
they
get them up
have
out of there.
championship aspirations, which we know that they do, you always got to be looking up ahead. Even in the course of a fight, a trainer has to focus on the fight at hand, but he always has to have the next fight in mind in terms of how can I get him there and make sure that he's ready for that. So if he's going to face a guy like Alex Salcedo's not going to allow him to be cute and box like he's doing tonight. He's going to get pressed. And when Salcedo presses him, if he's successful tonight, he wants to make sure he can meet that gear.
And I want to leave one area of caution that I see, little mistake that Barboza makes. You know, sometimes he sticks that jab out a little bit from a little bit too close, you know, where it's a flicking jab, or maybe sometimes he'll just, you know, paw it out there, probe it out there. He's available for a right hand. That's the shot that I see him getting hit with quite often in this fight.
Coming to the end of round number 7. And folks, there's really not going to be a week that goes by at this point that we won't get you up to speed on every.
Tess, I don't know about avoid those type of shots, but that's the way that I used to get my body ready for body shots. That's the only way. You got to get hit down to the body in order to be able to take them. I see a lot of guys doing a lot of ab work out there. That's great. But you got to get hit with that medicine ball so that way your insides, your organs, and you're used to getting hit.
Well, listen, it's hard to argue with you, Tim, when you might have had an 8-pack or a 10-pack. So I don't know if I can argue with anything that you did for your abs, but I disagree. I don't think that's going to help him at all. If you get hit with a body shot in the right spot, you're going to feel it. And like Joe said, the best way to deal with that and avoid that is just to not get hit with it.
And Dre, all you need to do is go on Twitter and look at the happy birthday celebration put out by Top Rank today of Tim Bradley to be reminded of how good those abs once looked compared to how Mr. Bradley shared his physique now looks with us this week in celebration of his birthday.
You said it, not me, Joe. You said it, not me.
Well, Dre, again, we can go back and forth all night, all night long, man. You know, you saying, I understand, don't get hit with the body shots. But if you was to get hit with a body shot and you got used to getting hit in camp with a big old medicine ball, don't you think that's going to get you ready for a punch? Don't you think that's going to help you?
I don't believe so.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt in my mind.
Hey, Bernardo, let me ask you what's going on in the Barboza corner, because Dre thought that his father was a bit too conservative with the instructions, knowing where this fight is right now.
Yeah, and Arnold Barboza Sr. told me, look, I want him to stay long, work behind the jab, but continue to dig to the body. We have 3 rounds to break him down. The plan is to stop him, but I want him to do it patiently, and when he finds the openings, take advantage.
Driving down a right hand moments ago. Remember, our Unified World Championship fight is coming up in moments. Ramirez Postal. We've waited all year long for this fight, twice postponed. Of course, the long layoff for Ramirez, 13 months, the longest layoff of his career after his thrilling TKO of Maurice Hooker to take the WBO belt. Barboza says that he wants and retired. You've earned it, my man. Happy birthday, Tim Bradley.
Tim, can I dare ask how much you weigh today currently? Is that, I know that's kind of rude, especially on live television, but is that okay to ask?
Hey, you can ask me whatever you want, Dre, because you know you're going to get the answer. I'm going to tell you the truth.
All right,
I weigh
Timmy.
205 pounds right now, solid muscle.
There it is.
205 pounds, solid muscle.
And those
205.
biceps and shoulders look like it too. He went from a junior welterweight and welterweight champion to an NFL running back in retirement. Round number 9 here. Barboza in complete
solid.
control.
It's not a fat.
Oh, no. You look great, my man. You look great. And you're happy and contented, most importantly, and you're a great broadcaster with us. 181 total connects for Barboza to 107 for Lewis. You know, Lewis made the comment, Dre, that he said, win or lose, Barboza's going to remember me. I don't know that that's the case right now, and if it was, he'd give himself a much better shot to fight with that kind of aggression.
You took the thought right out of my head. I was just getting ready to say that. That's why it's so important for fighters, when they have a fight coming up, to probably do more listening than talking. Listen to what your opponent is saying in the build-up to the fight, the week of the fight, the day before the fight, because at any point in time during the fight, if he's not living up to the talk, if the action is not there, that's a telltale sign that something is off. You're getting to him, and you're having your way, and he's not able to do what he wants to do. And that's the case tonight.
You know, I've been inside of these one-sided fights, you know, in my career. And, you know, this goes back to what you said, Dre. You know, sometimes you can get bored in there. You get complacent, get a little bit lazy. You're having your way. You're doing exactly what you want to do. And then you're hitting the guy over and over and over. See those shots to the head right there? Your hands start to hurt. Your hands start to get sore. Your fists start to get sore. You know, but you got to try some new things in there. You know, if you've been working on new things, you're getting bored in there, try some new things that you've been working on in camp.
So Barboza got a reaction from Lewis right there. And if you're in the corner of Barboza, you want him to follow up. He doesn't have to be reckless about it. You can tell his temperament is to measure twice and cut once. He's very economical with his punches in terms of the risk he's willing to take. But if you get a reaction from a body shot, follow up.
You're right, Dre. You know, I don't think the shot's going to be to the head if he does stop him. I think it's going to be down to the body. A perfectly placed liver shot.
Tony Lewis is tough.
That the one small flaw you saw with Barboza was exactly what George Lewis, the father of Tony Lewis, just put forth. And that was that Barboza perhaps can get hit with right hands over the top of a jab not thrown from perfect range. But right now, you would have to think it's a hopeless situation from Lewis. He needs to completely sell out and be a reckless aggressor. 10th and final round here before we have our World Championship fight.
Well, Tess, you can't be predictable like Lewis, just walking straight in with his hands up. You got to move your head from side to side. You know, a moving target is very, very hard to hit. And then you're in hopes to have Barboza, you know, misjudge a jab and then loop that right hand over the top. Stay low. See, anytime a guy would switch in front of me or I know he's about to, you got to attack him. He's off balance. He's squared up. He has to change his whole positioning. His feet are not set. But you got to be calm enough to see that.
To Barboza's credit, though, Tim, he does it seamless. Like, you don't see it. You look up, he's right-handed, and then you look up and come out of the clinch, and then he's left-handed. It's almost hard to predict and hard to counter.
Great combination, great accuracy.
Well, when you eat another like that,
everything is landing on Lewis.
The problem for Tony Lewis tonight is that he's not the skill guy, he's the will guy. And he made this a skill fight, and he'll never win a skill fight against Arnold Barboza.
And isn't it funny that you picked up on what the instruction was early on and said, wrong? No, I completely disagree. and that's exactly how it played out.
Well, I take a fighter at his word, and when you hear a fighter, I mean, he had some great sound bites in our fighter meeting, and if you read his bio, he's saying some great things. I mean, you know, that's a great line to say that win or lose, Arnold Barboza is going to remember me for the rest of his life. He just couldn't back it up tonight.
Dre, you know fighters be lying. Fighters will tell you everything. We disguise everything. We can have the most worst camp ever and still tell you it was the best camp of our life.
You get in that boxing ring, it is certainly a revealer.
Break, let him out, break, step back. That's well. Time.
From start to finish, all Arnold.
Speaks to just the way his father trained him. I mean, he is a quality fighter, and I think he's getting in line to challenge for a world title at some point. Probably not right now, because we know the 140s, the two unified champions are looking to fight each other, but a lot of skill set, that's clear to see, that's evident. The only questions you have about Arnold Barboza are the intangibles. What does he have on the inside when things aren't going his way? If he fights Alex Salcedo, he's going to have moments where things are not going his way, and you want to see what the young fighter has deep down inside.
You know what, to me, I'm just going to say it right now. I think he's one of the most complete 140-pounders out there. Great balance, good positioning, switching from southpaw to orthodox. Great jab, great.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds here inside MGM Grand, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. All three judges scored about 99 to 90 for your winner by unanimous decision, Arnold Barboza Jr.
For Arnold Barboza Jr.